All right. Hey, everyone. Hello. It is a Tuesday. I know last week I was on here on a Wednesday, but tonight, my special guest, Mr. Hardworking Man, that's what I'm going to call him. We had to do it tonight, and we're going to do it tonight. We can ready to do it right now. You are watching live. If you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, welcome to Lady Bird Live on Facebook. Again, my regular show is always going to be here to you every Wednesday, either afternoons or evening, but I'm going to be here. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you leave some comments, some hearts, some loves, whatever it is. If you're on YouTube, let me know you're watching. If you're on Facebook and Twitter, let me know you guys are watching. Share this out to your followers. You are not going to want to miss this show tonight. You're not. You are not. Tell me you're going to sit here and miss this and you're going to let your family and friends miss it too. I don't think so. So go ahead and hit that share button. Get it out there. So my guest tonight is going to be the funny comedian. Look, I'm looking at him. He down here bouncing. I ain't even put you on the screen. Andy Feds, my friend. I'm going to bring him on because, look, I'm going to let y'all see. He over here acting a fool. Y'all see
Y'all didn't see me dancing like a white guy with no rhythm.
I saw all that. Like we had a rave party. So tonight we have Andy on here. We are going to get down into it. If you guys don't know, Andy is a funny comedian. He has done a tour recently. Are you going back on tour?
Yeah, just been talking about trying to do a school tour. So we're gonna call it the Feducation Tour.
Oh, okay, Feducation Tour. Okay.
I
hope I hope it comes to Florida this time,
Most definitely. Was I? No, I wasn't in Florida. I did
well, you did a virtual, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, somebody in the chat. Is it Wednesday? No, Keely. It is not Wednesday, but we are on here tonight for Andy on a Tuesday while he's available. So that's what we are doing.
Absolutely.
All right. So we are gonna let's get into it. So I want you to tell them, in your words, who you are and what you do. And then just kind of go ahead and just go into it. I will just say, so if you're watching right now and you're seeing this title, it might, and you see I got that title from your shirt, right?
Oh, did you?
I did. So the title is Born HIV Positive, and then I have Being HIV Positive is Not a Negative Thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So if you do not know, yes, Andy was born HIV positive. So I want him to, share this with you all, talk about it. And if you have questions while he is talking, please feel free to put your questions in the comments. And when we get to a point, I'll ask him the questions for you and we'll go from there. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. So before I'm going to give you guys the opportunity to turn your volume down about 2 notches. If you're watching on your phone, if you're watching from a computer, turn it down about 75 because what's up, Federation? It's your favorite HIV positive born stand-up comedian Andy Feds. I like to share about HIV and AIDS through the art of stand-up comedy because a lot of people still think that HIV and AIDS is still the HIV and AIDS 80s from the 90s. And we're here to tell you that it is not. HIV has advanced since then. People are living, people are healthy with HIV and AIDS. People are having healthy HIV negative babies, having healthy HIV negative spouses, relationships, all those things. So, I use stand-up comedy. I use social media, andyfadscomedy.com if you want to find me on there too. So all my social media. If you guys want to check me out, it's Andy Feds Comedy, just like it says down here at the bottom. And let's get into it. Let's get it. Can you tell I'm excited? I don't know if that was.
All right, listen, I told y'all he is full of life. He is amazing. All right, so let's talk about being born positive.
Sure.
Okay, so I know in order for you to be born positive, and I'm just giving this context only because, you know, somebody may not know. Being born positive means that your mother was also HIV positive.
Yep.
So growing up, tell us like when did someone tell you? Did you know, let everybody know like how, you know, as far as with your mom, did
Yeah.
she tell you? Did someone else tell you?
Mm-hmm.
What was it really like growing up and then getting to that point of finding out, hey, you know,
Sure.
I'm HIV positive?
Sure. So my HIV story actually does not start with me, as you were saying. I got it from my mom. So with my mom, she got HIV from a boyfriend that never told her during like her and my dad's on and off season of, you know, sexual whatever, gross. But the boyfriend never told her his status, and so obviously they had sex, and he transmitted HIV to her. So the story that I was told was that my mom, when she got diagnosed, first of all, the health department knocked on her door and said, you might want to get tested because you got the guy that we never got the name of, he listed you as a potential sex partner. And, you know, he just passed away from AIDS complications. So you might want to get tested. So when she found out she was tested, when she found out that she was diagnosed with HIV, she acted as if it wasn't a thing in her life. She did not want to take medicine. She didn't want to go to the doctor. And this was the 90s where, you know, people were actually dying from this virus. So I kind of understand. So when she conceived me with my dad, he is still HIV negative. So we're thinking probably because U equals U, which we'll explain later. But then when she was pregnant with me, she just was not taking her medicine. So my family didn't know until I was 3 years old. And then that's when I had a cold that wouldn't go away. The doctors kept testing me for a bunch of other things and everything came back negative. And then finally, one day my nurse was like, let's try an HIV test. And then my mom, she, you know, already knew her status. She was like, what do you need an HIV test for? He's just 3 years old. He don't need that. Sure enough, it was positive. So that's where that came from.
Oh wow. Yes. That's, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
So for 3 years, she just, so was it a thing of like,
That's my mom.
oh, look
I always like to show. Chicago Bulls for life. Don't say nothing, y'all, because I know we out of the playoffs. Don't say nothing. Don't disrespect me.
I know them Bulls, those Celtics.
Mm.
See, I got my green on.
Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about the
But,
08, the 08 playoffs.
so, you know, with them 3 years, was it just a thing of, did the doctors never like, did they never think, okay, well, she gave birth to this baby, let's test this baby? Because I know typically, you know, I mean, of course now it's 2000s.
Mhm.
That was in the 90s.
Yeah.
So at that time, was it just where maybe they weren't checking after you were born, you know, knowing her status, or was it just a, you know, yeah.
And that's where it gets a little confusing because like she took a lot to the grave with her. So it's like more so just hearing from like my grandma, which is her mom, and her best friend. And so it's like we didn't really get the full details about it. So what we're just assuming is that it just kind of slipped by the wayside, that she never got tested, or maybe she never got tested during the pregnancy, I should say.
Right. Gotcha. Okay, so at this point now, here it is, you're 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now they know you have this diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's okay, medications.
Mm-hmm.
Just from my knowledge, I know back then a lot of the medications, and even now for babies and kids, are liquid.
Mm-hmm.
And 90s, I'm thinking maybe Calitra was probably, oh my gosh. That's so for you guys, right? So Calitra is one of the medications that they favor for babies and toddlers because it's one that can go into that liquid form. But
Mm-hmm.
if you smell it, it smells awful.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even think what it smells like. It's just awful.
Yeah. Y'all ever smelled in between your toes when you didn't wash it?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
That's Calitra.
Yeah, it's that bad. You know,
talking about the little meat that's in between your big toe and that second toe.
Right. So as a child growing up, from what you remember, were you like receptive to them giving you the medicines, or did you have moments through your, childhood where it was like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to take this medicine? How did that go?
For a long time, I mean, I was taking my medicine just because. Here's it's, not funny, but a story about my medicine. With me being diagnosed, my mom did not like the idea that her and her only child was living with HIV, so she didn't take her medicine, nor did she give me mine. And so, when my grandmother was cleaning out her room at one point, she found a duffel bag of medicine that my mom was promising my doctor that I was taking. And so she was like, oh, no, he's going to take his medicine. Wow. So my doctor was just like so hurt because it was like she lied. Like she was saying that he was taking his medicine every day. And so my grandmother's always been on me about taking my medicine every day. Now, here's the thing where it took growth in education for both me and my grandmother. When I was growing up, I remember she was saying, oh, you did good in school. So as a reward, you don't have to take your medicine tonight. And so, I'm thinking, cool, the medicine's gross. I don't want to take it. And so that's when I grew up and found out, actually, my ex-wife, she was like, what do you mean you're not going to take your medicine? Because I used to tell her, just take it, miss one day, it's not going to hurt. And she's like, no, you're going to take your medicine because you're going to make sure that we are okay. Not just you, but me. And so that's when I realized that, it is super important to take your medicine every day. And ever since then, unintentionally, I have not, or how should I say, intentionally, I have not missed any doses. So.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize, like, it's not even like it's not even like you don't want to take it. It's like, sometimes it's like you think about it, it's like, man, I gotta do this again. And then sometimes, depending on the medication, it makes you feel a certain kind of way.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I'm about to feel groggy, I'm about to feel this, I'm about, and it just like, oh, well, I'll take it tomorrow. Or I'll, and that's kind of how it goes, So that's why I wanted you to kind of explain that part. Sure. Especially as a kid, because think about it, you got to go through not only at 3 years old to like once you're in like elementary school, but then now here it is, you're going into middle school and high school. So how was that transition going into, just being this kid to now here I'm getting into puberty, I'm getting into girls.
Yeah.
Like, how does that come into play now? Because, girls are going to come,
sure.
Sure. And so how did you handle that situation? Like, if girls came and maybe they wanted to get you, oh, give me a kiss, different things. How was that handled by you, just knowing this is my diagnosis?
Yeah. So going back to the medicine, growing up, I was taking my medicine, but I remember I was the only child that I knew living with HIV. I didn't have no family members. I didn't have no friends that I knew of that was living with HIV. So like sleepovers, I was always, they taught me how to crush pills and mix it up with Hawaiian Punch. And oh my God, powder and Hawaiian Punch was gross. And then, the Kaletra and the syringe and stuff like that. And so I remember growing up, I would go to sleepovers, or I would, stay at my cousin's house, and they would see me take this medicine. And of course they were like, why are you taking medicine? I was like, my grandmother taught me that it was, to say that I had bad blood, just to, I guess, go over kids' heads. And so I remember my cousin was very interested. My cousin Michael would always be like, well, what it tastes like? And I'd be like, try it. I don't want to take it.
Oh my God.
And so, he sometimes used to take my medicine. So he's probably got a healthy immune system now. Right. But getting older too, like I was very self-conscious and insecure about my diagnosis. So like I could flirt my tail off. I don't know if I cuss on here, but I could flirt my tail off.
Yeah, you're okay. Fine.
No, let me stop. My grandma might be watching. But yeah,
hey, Grandma.
Hey Nana, I'm being good. But I could flirt, and I would always, get to the girl, talk to her, call her, all those things. But it was never hey, can we start a relationship? Simply because it was like, all right, who's going to accept me with this virus that, one, I have no control over, that I had no control over. So in the back of my mind, it was like, nobody ever will. So for most of my teenage years, actually for well, most of my teenage years, I was single just because that was, the thought in my head. And then I met my ex-wife in college, and she, said that she liked me and I liked her, and I was like, "Wait, are we sure? Are we sure we want to do this? Because this wasn't possible in my head." So, and then we got married.
Wow. So for just because I know people might be doing math in their head, do you mind sharing how old you are?
I am 30. Dirty
He is
30.
30, y'all. He just,
Actually,
dirty 30.
I shouldn't say dirty 30 when we're talking about HIV, because there's no such thing as clean or dirty people when it comes to your sexual status, people. No such thing.
Right. Listen, yeah.
I
That
wash
stuff
my
y'all be
ass.
saying,
Sorry,
Andy ain't gonna be nice as me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He gonna make sure you know.
Listen, I got all in my crevices. Sorry, that might be too much. Sorry, Nana.
I told y'all he was funny. All right, so there are a couple questions that I want to ask you that I saw in the comments.
Sure.
So someone did ask, how do you feel about this disease?
I mean, there's a lot of things. I feel like that's a broad question, but for me, I've never lived without HIV. I've had it my entire life. So I don't know what it's like to not live with HIV. But I believe that we are in an age now where HIV and AIDS now is containable. Like, I saw a lot of people in the comments saying celibate. Like, there's more ways of getting HIV than just sex. But if you happen to get diagnosed with it, like, you can still live a long, healthy life with it. Like, it's not the end. Once you take these medicines and stay on it, you're going to be fine. And then there's also the negative aspect of it, where there are people that, have mental health issues about, living with HIV, or they got to deal with the stigmas. I always have to deal with the stigmas of living with HIV. And some people don't have that thick skin. So I believe it's like us to educate ourselves and each other, to let people know, hey, like I just did with this whole celibate thing.
Right.
Say this is not true. There's more things to HIV than just sex. It doesn't just affect, LGBT, all these things that people were so used to knowing about HIV and AIDS.
Right. Yeah. And it's so funny because when you say something just then, like with the stigmas, I thought in my head, because I can hear you being funny in my head. Somebody saying to you, like, if you're telling them, "Oh, I'm HIV positive," and somebody says to you, "Well, who gave it to you?" And I could see you saying, "My mama."
My mama.
Like,
sure did.
Right.
And let you think of whatever you want to think of, but
right, because like you say, so many people don't realize that hey, people are born with this, especially if they were born in the 80s and 90s. They were, being born HIV positive.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't a thing they asked for. It just happened while they were being, doing
I was in the rice cooker because I found out I'm
I'm
Chinese, so I can say rice cooker.
You know what? Oh, that's why your eyes a little slanty, huh?
A little bit, just a little
bit. So I know a lot of stuff that we talk about, especially as educators and advocates, is what it means to be undetectable. So if you guys don't know, undetectable is when you hear us talk about U equals U. That basically means that you're taking your medication, and the amount of times that the virus is replicating in your body is very, very low, almost to the point where it's not doing anything. It's just chilling there in the smallest amount that it can be in your body. And so one of the questions someone did ask, they asked, "Are you undetectable?" Which I can answer that. Yeah, that man undetectable. But I want to know.
Let me add on to that. They say that 200 or less is an AIDS diagnosis. I just went to the doctor 2 weeks ago, and they told me I got 1,013 T cells. You feel me?
Look at those T cells. Okay. Okay, T cells. All right. So T cells, if you guys are not familiar with that term, T cells are your T helper cells, the ones that help you fight off infection. Yeah, that's him. And so that means, guess what? Andy ain't gonna be around here sick no time soon.
Listen, I'm gonna die of anything. It could be fire, it could be hit by a bus, it could be plane crash, whatever the case is. People still gonna think it's AIDS. That's the crazy part about it, right? That's because I'm open about my status.
Right. So when it comes to undetectable and U equals U, um, what is your thoughts on the whole U equals U thing, and how when you're talking to people, how do you kind of give it to them? Like, because I know, if, like, for example, you met your ex-wife in college, and then I know I did see somebody ask how you met her, so that's gonna be another question. Well, not really how you met her, but how did you tell her you're positive?
Sure.
But even at that, how do you take being undetectable and explain that to someone? Like, how is that a part of what you do when you're like talking and educating people?
Yeah, so I am dating now because we divorced, and slide on in the DMs, y'all, if y'all want to. You feel me?
He being grown. He being grown.
Listen, we got it. We single, and it turns to not only fans but lonely fans.
I told y'all he was the best.
But when I'm dating, I'm always telling potential partner, hey, I'm undetectable. I'll say I'm HIV positive, because I don't want them to, Google Andy Feds or my actual name, whatever the case is, and be like, girl, he ain't tell me he got that stuff, So I always want to, tell them up front, and then tell them, hey, I can educate you too. I can send you all this, information. I could Google stuff for you. I can send you to my doctor's appointments if you would like to. And then, that's when I go into teaching about U equals U. I'll say, that my virus is so low that I cannot at all whatsoever, 0% scientifically proven, transmit it to you. Even if, I don't want to try, but, there's no way to, transmit HIV when you're undetectable. So a lot of people don't believe that. And so that's where, you have to really advocate these things and educate people, because a lot of people are not used to hearing about the good aspects, I guess you can say, of HIV, that, a lot of people always be like, oh, Magic Johnson is healed from his AIDS. One, Magic Johnson never had AIDS. Sorry to break that to you. And then two, just like Cookie Johnson, just like his son EJ, just like whoever, they never came out and said that they're living with HIV, because more than likely Magic Johnson's undetectable, because just like him, a lot of us have access to these medicines that are keeping us healthy and keeping us alive and keeping us undetectable.
Absolutely. All right. So that question that somebody asked, so how did you tell your ex-wife you were infected with HIV, that you were HIV positive?
I'm glad you corrected, because I'm like, I ain't infected.
Yeah, well, I was reading and then I was like, wait a minute, because I was reading how she typed in, and I was like, wait, no.
Yeah, no, we don't say infected when it comes to people.
Right, no, that you were HIV positive.
I just, the story was things was getting a little hot, heavy, and horny, because we were college kids, and I was like, let's slow it down and pump the brakes a little bit. Pull up your panties. Sorry, giving graphic. Sorry, Nana, you might be watching. But
Nana go get you. Nana is go.
She gonna beat my ass. Sorry, Nana. But I was like, hey, let's talk, because I want to get to know you and you get to know me. And so she was telling me a story about her family and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to tell you about my mom and how she lived with HIV that turned to AIDS, which ultimately the complications took her out. Now I'm living with it, but I'm undetectable and I cannot transmit it to you. And like her jaw dropped. And I remember just telling her the same thing. Hey, you want to go to a doctor's appointment with me? By all means. She wound up taking the HIV class, taught me how to smoke. But she ended up taking the HIV class in our college, just so she can get to learn about, what it is that, she's about to get herself into. And, I'm ultimately grateful for that, because she didn't have to, and so that's kind of how that goes.
Okay, yeah. Look, and I'm glad that they have that now in college, because when I went to University of Central Florida, that was a class that they offered as one of the electives too. So yeah, and just the fact that she even took that initiative, because again, it's an elective. It's like you can choose or not.
Yeah.
And just that kind of showed. But y'all heard him. He's single. DMs is open.
Look at my tan went away on my ring finger.
That ring tan gone.
You feel me?
Ooh, yeah, because look, that ring tan was still popping.
Man, it was glowing in dark.
It was showing.
Because I was faithful. I was like, listen, I'm married. Like how y'all say in Florida, I'm married.
Right. So somebody in the comments, this Kimberly Mallory said, "This is a much needed conversation, brother. Thank you for your amazing testimony."
Absolutely.
Um, someone, hey Pamela says, she said questions. She said, I don't. So I'm reading what she said. She says, I don't kiss, I don't drink from anyone. But why is it that people do not talk about HIV or AIDS anymore, especially now? Why do you think?
Because COVID was taking over the 2000s.
Man, listen. COVID was on TV. Look, I ain't even gonna front because our show was sitting there every time the president came on. Oh, hush! I need to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah,
Coco
it did. It took
Coco
over.
was out there. Now here's the thing with the whole drinking and stuff like that, drinking after people. It's also another stigma. A lot of people think that you can get HIV from drinking after somebody. False. Like if you hungry and I got a plate of food in front of me and you don't want to please my plate, by all means you're gonna be hungry because
right.
That's your own miseducation. You're gonna be
hungry anyway because I don't care. Right. I'm stingy. I don't. No.
Right. So HIV doesn't survive in the saliva. So what was the second half of that?
She was just saying I don't kiss, I don't drink from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then a question you already answered about why people don't talk about it.
Oh yeah. And then also, sorry if I can mention too, like people have made it in society that it's too taboo to talk about, which I don't understand. Like a lot of people, I saw a post on Facebook and it was like, imagine if everybody with an STD glowed in the dark. You know, so imagine if we turned off all the lights and you'd be like, oh my God, they got it. They got something. Right. They got something. There's a lot of us that are living with an STD. A lot of us aren't talking about it, but it needs to be, talked about it, because how do we get rid of these things? How do we educate ourselves about these things if we don't talk about it?
Absolutely. Now, this is a question. I think either one of us probably can answer this question. Sure. Can two HIV positive people be a couple without infecting each other over? So again, so you can answer it, or if you want me to answer it.
Yes. So I learned about this from Lynette. Shout out to Lynette Trawick. She got 11 HIV negative children. If y'all want to follow her, LYNET.
Lynette's coming on in June, you guys. So.
Yeah, make sure y'all check her out. Yes. So two people that are living with HIV can actually transmit. I was going to say the I word. Retransmit. Their virus. So there's two strains of HIV. One is HIV 1, one is HIV 2. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that they differentiate by how long you've had the virus. Right? Okay, I was almost there.
I'm about to put you in my class. Nah. So HIV 1 is what everybody, when you hear HIV, that's basically what everybody. The only what HIV 2 is, you're not gonna really find. I don't even really know if right now there's many people with HIV 2. That's mostly found in West Africa.
Oh, okay.
So that's the strand where most people who have HIV 2, they don't have to take medications. It progresses slow.
Yeah.
But I think what you were kind of going to more was if two people are positive, and say if they're positive and are not undetectable, and they're having unprotected sex, they can reinfect each other and cause a super virus or super infection. Yep. So that is what can happen. They can literally give each other. They basically swap strands.
Yeah. Now you got to take medicine for two different strands, not just one, but two.
Yeah, which means you might be going from one pill to 3 or 4 pills because that one pill is not enough. And I'm gonna be sending Andy. Y'all hear this? I'm sending Andy my video where I broke down HIV groups and subtypes because we gonna get. That's okay. He tired, y'all. He had a long day.
Little liabilities is what I call them. Little tax deductibles. F them kids, whatever R. Kelly said, but in different context.
Yeah. But you know what? I guess because that's the field I'm kind of going into as well. I really like research because most people don't really look at it on that deep of a level as far as like the groups and subgroups and stuff when it comes to super infections. So that's something I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna hook you up, friend.
Sure.
I
Now,
got
here's what I want to add to that, because a lot of people, and I've heard this a lot of people jump in my DMs, especially people that are living with HIV. They'll be like, oh, can you help me find somebody else that's living with HIV? Because I need
Woo,
a boyfriend,
matchmaker.
husband, or whatever, or a wife. And it's like, you don't have to find somebody that's living with HIV. Date me for Andy Feds. Don't date me for HIV.
Right.
Because this HIV is just a small part of my life, you know? So, and we're not a species of animals, you know, we're people living with HIV. So, you know, we can date people, whether they're HIV positive or not. So, I always like to make that disclaimer for people that you can date whoever you want. Don't just stop just because you have HIV.
Right. All right. So here's another question, and it also comes with a compliment as well. It says, this is G says, I think it's great that you use your comedy as your platform to educate about HIV. But are there ever times when you cannot laugh or being HIV positive gets you down?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been a silly person. That's just always been me. I don't tend to let HIV get me down like that. One, because I've had it my entire life. So it's like, all right, you've been kicking this HIV virus's ass for 30 years. Why get down? You know, you're taking medicine, and this medicine is keeping you healthy. I kind of look at, you know, this woman and be like, you know, she passed away because of fear, because of, you know, depression, because of, you know, whatever was going through her head because of this virus. And it's like, I don't want that. You know, I'm going to continue living life, you know. So I always have to, you know, it's my job to make light of my living with HIV, because that's what comedians do. We make fun of, you know, our lives. So
Right. And Andy will roast you too. Listen, I'm not gonna get on no Instagram roast session with Andy, because I might leave in tears. You gotta put your feelings to the side when it's time to
oh,
laugh. Listen.
listen, high school kids, they know not to play with me. There was one girl who, because I'm a little on the shorter range, even though I'm 6'5", because I'm waiting on my knee growth surgery, because that's when my knee grows. But but she saw me standing on a chair in the PE class, and she goes, "Damn, you short. You got to be 4'11" or something." And I quickly, just because I'm a comedian, I go, "Damn, you ugly. You got to be 4 out of 11 or something."
Woo,
Like, don't play with me. I don't care, man, woman, or child, disability. I'm gonna come back with something.
oh my goodness. Andy, I'm gonna need you to please keep your job, okay? Can't be calling these people churn. Oh my goodness. All right, let's see what else we have here. So, hey, LaShawn. So, LaShawn says, if people can be diagnosed as undetectable, why are people
Mhm.
still afraid to tell people? I live in DC, and women are still being diagnosed with HIV. So, why do you think that um people are, even if they're undetectable, why is that fear still there?
Because we live in a society where we promote sex. We promote sex in music. We promote it in our TV shows. We promote it in our movies. We promote it in our books, billboards. Everywhere you look, there's sex, 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 sex. And when we tell people, as you know, you and I are HIV advocates, hey, you know, let's talk about HIV. Let's talk about the ways that you can prevent HIV. Let's talk about condoms. Let's talk about, you know, you equals you. People are like, why? Why should we do this? So we have been conditioned to not talk about the things that really matters. You know, sex is great. By all means, have sex. It's a wonderful feeling. But, you know, we also got to think about the ramifications of what happens if we don't do sex properly. What happens if a condom bursts? How can we protect ourselves after a condom bursts? Because there's a thing called PrEP and PEP that people don't know about, you know? So, you know, we don't live in a world where society allows us to talk about HIV or any STD for that matter. And it's up to us to kind of change that narrative. We can do it. We just sometimes choose not to.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna play a commercial real quick. We're gonna come back
Okay.
because you just made me think of a question that I want to ask you.
Okay.
And then so we're gonna do that. We're gonna come right back.
Sure.
Jacksonville, Florida. Are you looking to purchase a home? Contact Joe for your next real estate experience. Not only is Joseph Barnes retired from the Navy after 20 years of defending his country, but he's ready to provide you with a stress-free home buying experience. Visit his website, www.broseph.biz, www.broseph.biz today. And also, find Joseph Barnes on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
All right. So, my question for you, being that you're in the schools now, I know you say, PE, and you've been, being around the kids and everything. Being someone you are HIV positive.
Sure.
Hearing the kids talk, hearing them talk. I know you hear conversations, that they don't know you hear. How does that make you feel, or does it make you like, man, they need to get, how does it make you feel just being that, being a person who's dealing with something, you don't want these kids to ever experience, but you hear them possibly putting themselves in a situation where it could happen to them?
Yeah. I remember a couple of years ago, I was teaching a freshman biology class. I don't know why they put me in biology because my degree is in TV production. That's beside the point. But I remember hearing a kid cough. I mean, it was, of course, in the middle of COVID, which made everybody on high alert. But there was another kid that was like, "Ugh, you got HIV." And it was like,
whoa.
Huh?
So, like, hello?
Yeah. So, of course, I had to correct him. And I was like, hey, you got to be careful with what you say because you never know who in this room is living with HIV. And, of course, I was assuming myself. But, again, there's kids that, I was one of those kids that, heard all the HIV jokes, growing up. Kids like, you about to die because you got AIDS, all those things, right? Not for me, but just talking, and just hearing stuff in the background. And it's like, you gotta teach the kids early because they're actually one of the demographics. I think it's 13 to 24. I'm not sure the actual percentage right now, but I remember they are a huge number of transmissions.
Right. Yes.
So it's like, we gotta teach them early. We cannot be afraid to teach our kids, the dangers of, HIV and AIDS, or not the dangers of it, but the dangers of sex, I should say, because we gotta protect our babies,
Yeah, absolutely. Someone wanted me to kind of, I guess, re-explain the whole like two positive couples. So I'm gonna do that real quick. Then there's another question too. So when you have two people who are both HIV positive and they're not undetectable, because again, U equals U. If they're undetectable, they're not going to reinfect each other and they're not going to give anyone else the HIV virus. But if they are not undetectable and they're having unprotected sex, they can give each other strand to each other and cause what we would call, you may see it, super virus or super infection. And what happens is this can cause their medications to stop working. It can cause them to be sick. It can cause an array of things. And so that is why it is important, whether you are undetectable or not, to know if, you need to know this. And then you also need to make sure your partner is, and use protection. Because granted, yes, I can say, yes, I'm undetectable, and I could be lying. And now, because you believe I'm undetectable, we have an unprotected sex. And now I'm putting you at risk of a super virus because I'm not being truthful. So if you decide at some point, if you're with another person that's HIV positive, to have unprotected sex, the best thing to do is to confidently and for sure see and know that you both are undetectable so that you're not putting yourselves at risk.
And
so
then
I hope I broke it down. Yeah.
If I can add on to that too, like I remember reading, and the numbers might have changed because it was last year's number, but 38.5 million people worldwide are living with HIV. And 13% of those people don't even know it because people aren't getting tested. So that's why it's important to not just ask but your partner. Yes, that's very important. But also, can you, get your partner to go get tested? you should go get tested as well. You should also use protection and things like that, because you just want to do all that you can to not, a lot of people be like, oh, he's glorifying HIV because he makes comedy. No, I don't want anybody to have this shit, so we got to do whatever it takes to stop this transmission from increasing, because in 2020, because of COVID, because people were at home doing that during quarantine, the HIV rate skyrocketed.
They was in the house too long.
Yeah, I was looking at each other too long. So
yeah, they was in the house a little too long, because I know my walls was closing in on me like, whew. Literally, it was to the point I was in the house so much that I noticed that I was getting jaundice, like a little baby coming out looking like orange. I was everything. I was like, let me go outside and get some of this sun.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So I know you've said a few times when you've talked about your mom that she's no longer here. So if you don't mind, can you explain? I know you said she died from AIDS complications. So can you kind of talk us through like what that experience was like for you? Not only just for you seeing that, being a son to a mother, but also seeing it from a standpoint of you're HIV positive, and if for whatever reason, something happens and you get to that state, how did that make you feel, and how was that experience?
Absolutely. So the picture that I keep showing, this picture was taken, I want to say maybe even a year after she passed away. Her HIV or her AIDS battle was kind of quick. Because she went so long without taking her medicine. I was 5 when she passed away, and she was 26. So like didn't have long to live out her life. And so I remember just always going to the doctor after, kindergarten. And then, the same routine, seeing my mom hooked up to all these machines and things like that. And for a long time, I would just be like, what's going on? I'm 5 years old. Nobody's really telling me, what's going on. And then I would always wonder, why was I, the only one different in my class that always had to go to the doctor every 6 weeks? Why did I always have to mix pills? Why did I always have to take pills and nobody else was? And it wasn't until she passed away in 98 that it was like, all right, something clicked. I was like, I'm different and I got to figure out why. So that's when I really started to ask questions, going to the doctor. I would ask, and they'll tell me just as much as they can tell a 5-year-old. But as I got older, they started explaining a little bit more. And I just remember too, as I got older too, I was suicidal at one point at 16 years old. And that's why I'm so high energy now, because I like to show people that, HIV ain't defeating me like it was trying to do, as far as like mentally goes. And so my thought at 16 was survivor's guilt. It was, okay, my mom died at 26. She didn't have long. Why? And, I almost lost my life at 7 and 3, because my viral load just got so high. So it was like, why is it that she had to go, but not me? She had all her life to live. That was just my mentality. And I'm just here, just to be here. And it was, I'm very, I wouldn't say religious or spiritual, but I say I definitely got a relationship with God. And so I'll just say, I knew that God wanted me to do something. And I think it might have been like the Keeping the Positive movement for me to, create awareness with comedy. So.
Yeah. Because you are funny. I got to give it to you. Some people, they'll say, oh, yeah, I'm a comedian. And then you'd be like, all right, tell me a joke. And it's like, but no, you are genuinely funny, even when it's not like, it just comes natural.
Yeah.
So yeah, someone in the comments said, "Look, this one here going on the jumbotron. Hold on, wait a second. Woo! Somebody said Andy Fez is handsome. Woo! Hold on, let me find out. I got to start me a little dating service. Oh Lord, here he go. Let me take that comment down. I see the head. I see the swelling. The swelling is coming. The swelling is coming. But so yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people don't understand, like, especially when it's someone who's born positive. You're seeing life from a whole different perspective because this is what you've always seen versus someone like me who is coming into this and getting a diagnosis from, you know, it being a sexual interaction versus being born. And it's a whole different world. You know, I have a lot of respect for you in that aspect because you know, just like you said, this is what you know. You don't know a life without being HIV positive.
Right.
You know, and and you know, and I do. And that's why it's so important for us to have these conversations and to talk about this and to educate people because they really don't know. Like, it's probably people on this live right now that are watching, like, man, I ain't never known. Like, you know, of course, you know, a lot of people know Hydia because of, you know, her being on Oprah and different shows and stuff. But other than that, they've probably never even thought, oh, wait a minute, there are other people out here who were born positive. So you're really opening eyes by just doing this, and even through your comedy, just open and keeping the conversation alive, because even though, you know, it's funny, it's still, even though you're presenting it in a funny way, they're getting the information and probably don't even realize, listen, you getting a whole education lesson while you laughing, you know? So
absolutely.
Yeah, so I definitely appreciate that. And before we go, because we don't have too much longer, I wanted to make sure that we talked about your book.
Sure.
Well, Andy has, look, he has this book. It's Achieving. So the book is called Achieving the Dream, the autobiography of, you know, Andy Feds.
Sorry, this is the proof, so that's why you got that little strip there.
Right. So this is the his book, and you can find it on Amazon. I'm actually gonna take that link right now.
Or go to my website, and the link is there too. Do not buy it from my website though, because that means I gotta buy it and then mail it to you.
So what you're saying
there's a link on my website.
So what you're saying is you need to get some copies of your book yourself so that you can autograph them. Okay, so we're gonna talk afterwards. I'm going to do a little something for you. We're gonna talk about that afterwards. So we can make sure that you have some physical product for your people and they can get your autograph, because I need your autograph. I'm sorry. And I done been in your face and I still need your autograph.
I appreciate it. I hate receiving. That's why I made that face.
You just like me. I don't like receiving either, but guess what? It doesn't matter. I'm doing it anyway.
Okay. Because I know I ain't backing you down.
Yep, you already know. If I can't be backed down by an 8-year-old and a 15-year-old with autism, just sit down somewhere.
Yeah. I feel that.
So but the book, I posted the link. So the link definitely is there on Facebook and YouTube in the comments. I'm gonna post it also on Twitter when we're done. And you can go on Amazon. There's a Kindle. It's Kindle. I was trying to see. Are they able to do a physical copy? Is it only Kindle, or is it Kindle and paperback on Amazon?
Kindle, paperback, and hard copy.
Okay. So if you go on Amazon, it'll give you the options to do whichever of those 3 options you want to do. I like to have books in my hand, you know.
For sure. For the longest time I had it just a physical copy because I didn't want people to be like, oh, I forgot I had this on my phone or on my tablet or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So and this is his autobiography. It's basically him sharing his life with you guys in way more detail than we've been talking about here on live. So
430 pages. This is thicker than phlegm in Chicago during the winter.
That's like a little. Listen, that look like that's like the New and the Old Testaments. Look,
and it's only $20.
Books of Andy Feds.
Yeah, and it's only $20. Here's the thing with Amazon, I only get like $1.30 cent off each copy. And the thing is, I'm not trying to use my story to make a profit. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. Simply because it's like, are we focused on our own profits or are we focused on helping people? So with like my books, you know, it goes to helping other people. Also on my website, which I need to open back up, I have merchandise, and I'm only promoting it because the merchandise, the proceeds, go to 2 organizations, which is Keep a Child Alive, which is, boom, wearing it right now. This is Alicia Keys' HIV organization. Wait, there we go. Alicia Keys' HIV organization, and they help, you know, families affected by HIV get their medicine. And same thing for Junior Council in Chicago. Same thing. They're making sure that folks can get treatment, get their medicine, and be healthy, because, you know, we sometimes take medicine for granted, and some people don't have it at all.
Right. I'm over here reading these comments.
Oh, for sure.
I'm over here like, wait a minute. Hold on. I see somebody was talking about disclosure. That's why I was like, wait a minute, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make sure there's no other questions. All right. So yeah, make sure you guys check out Andy's website, andyfedscomedy.com. His website has all the ways you can contact him. There's even videos on there where you can see him doing some of his stand-up comedy.
The video's like 4 years old. I need to take it down because
it's there. It's out there in the metaverse,
internet land.
Yeah, so you can go on there and you can watch some of his videos on there, and then you also can follow him on social media. You see that at Andy Feds Comedy. I know he's on Facebook and Instagram, and he's on Twitter. And of course that YouTube and probably some other places. I don't know. Andy work a lot, so he might be like, look, this is all I can do for you.
No, here's my thing too. I always let people know that I am very much accessible. So if you want to message me or you know, DM me or whatever the case is, do so. I do work a lot, but I do try to make sure that, you know, I have that time to help people, because this is what I'm really invested in and passionate about. You know, I want to make sure that people know that, yeah, you can totally live healthy. And there are people that are on their deepest down part of their life, you know, after this diagnosis. And I don't want to be like, sorry, I can't help you, I'm too busy. Right. You know, I want to make sure that I'm there for people. So
yeah, and he's right. He will definitely message you back, even if he's working. He'll slide a little quick message or something. So if you guys think of questions afterwards, or if you're watching a replay and you think of something and you just want to ask him, and you maybe feel like, you know, or if you listen, hold on, let me do my little spiel real quick. Hello, ladies. So if you are single and you are looking for someone that is mannerable, who is handsome, who is funny, and is definitely also single, not hiding no female on the side nowhere, then here is Andy Fez. He is available to you, and he's cute, right? Are those dimples? Yes, listen, that is a plus that you're going to get with this man, other than the funny laughs and everything. So go ahead. Make sure you get in them DMs, boo. Now, listen, I will
not included.
Look, hair. What did you say? Hairline?
Hairline not included.
Look, because you know that was gonna be coming somewhere in there. Let me see, what is you hat fishing?
Hat fishing.
So yes, ladies, he is hat fishing tonight. Okay. But it's still hair up there. It's just, it's right there.
We just pushed back a little bit, y'all can see my imagination. That's all.
My imagination. Look, we both good love. We both are. But I thank you so much for doing this and for taking the time out, because I know you're tired. So I'm definitely going to let you go and get some rest. But I really, really appreciate you for coming on here and educating us and just giving us parts of your life that could be very personal sometimes, to you definitely, but you're someone who's open about it and willing to talk about it, and that is what we need. So I really appreciate that. Everybody in the comments is saying thank you so much.
For sure. And thank you for having me.
Yes. And thanks to everybody that is watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Again, if you guys have questions, you can put them in the comments. Either one of us will be able to see them or message Andy. Yeah. You slide in them DMs. It goes down in the DM. Look, you see this? Yes, www.andyfeds.com.
www.andyfedscomedy.com if you guys want to message me. Yeah.
All righty. So I'm going to take you off of here. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, you guys. So again, thank you for tuning in. Everybody who watched, if you are on Facebook and you did send stars, because I can't see it on here, thank you so much. If you shared, thank you. On YouTube, everybody on YouTube that's watching. Twitter, if you're watching and retweeting, I thank you guys so much. I know I got a little my friends over there on Twitter, they got me on Twitter, y'all. Oof. Never thought I'd be on Twitter. But I appreciate you guys so much. And we are going to be out of here for tonight. I will be back on next Wednesday. So, yes, I'll be back on my regularly scheduled dates. Next Wednesday, I'll be on here with the beautiful Dawn. She's going to come on here. She's going to be sharing her story with you guys. And have your questions ready. All right. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.